Dying Light is a survival zombie game developed by Polish video game developer Techland and published by Warner Bros. It was originally planned to release in 2014, but it was pushed back to 2015. You play as Kyle Crane, an undercover agent sent to infiltrate the guarantee zone in the city of Haran, based pretty much on Turkey, as his mission is to find Rice, a rogue agent who has a file that could destroy the reputation of his agency. Upon his arrival, he is struck with critical decisions. He must decide between completing his mission or helping the other survivors who are led by Harris Bracken. In the city of Haran, a virus outbreak has turned most of the population into zombies, forcing Haran's defense ministry to shut down the borders. The Global Relief Effort, GRE, tries to assist survivors still trapped in the city by dropping supplies on a daily basis. The GRE hires Kyle Crane to infiltrate Haran in order to retrieve a file stolen from them by Kadir Suleiman, with the threat of revealing it to the public if anything were to happen to him. Crane gets into Haran, where he is ambushed by bandits, and afterwards zombies attack, where Crane is rescued by Jade, who takes him to a place called the Tower where many survivors gather. Rahim then teaches Crane parkour and sends him to Spike, who gives him his first task. Crane learns that the tower is being harassed by bandits, led by a warlord named Rice, who steals the supplies, stockpiling them from GRE drops. Crane helps with various missions to keep it operational and unwillingly performs missions for Rice under the GRE's orders. Crane is able to confirm that Rice is indeed who the agency is looking for, but he hasn't found the file yet. He later breaks off business with GRE when they hold supply drops and refuse to help the tower. The Middle Eastern city on zombie apocalypse is something not really done before, especially on that scale. However, besides the new environment, everything else is more predictable than a coin flip. The fact that your main hero struggles to help others is really uninteresting because you already know how the story will progress, which in turn leads you to more like dragging your feet across and just completing the game just to make sure you're right. Also, the game is supposed to give you plot twists that are made to surprise you, which they do not in any shape or form due to, as mentioned before, horrible story weaving. The characters, other than being nicely voice acted, have a really smooth pool of codes, and the ones that give you missions, well, they are bound to ask you pretty much the same thing. However, some honorable mentions are some guys that you find around that have a distinct character, making them very enjoyable for as long as they last. That being said, a very little amount of quests are unique, which is sad due to the fact that the repetitive fetch missions get tedious very fast. Like, really fast. Another thing worth mentioning is the amount of character models that look alike. Seriously now, someone would have thought that a game made out of 15 would have at least solved that kind of problem, but this seems not to be the case.
Dying Light is an open-world, first-person, melee-focused combat zombie game. Looking back to Techland's past, we can easily understand the influences this game had and the core that was in mind of the developers while making it. I will be completely honest, this review was tough to write. I personally disliked the game from the very first moment I stepped into the brown world it was presented to me, but I still have to be as subjective as I can when it comes to how it works and how it all ties together. So, keeping that in mind, let's move on. What you spend most of your time doing in Dying Light is either parkouring or fighting humans or zombies. So, let's talk about this first. Parkouring works perfectly fine in Dying Light. You look where you want to jump and keep spacebar pressed down and you climb. Pretty simple and implemented perfectly. While it lacks some of the depth or style or refinement do something like Mirror's Edge had, the system works perfectly fine, feels natural, and the only thing that you may end up screwing up is getting off things, jumping down and so on. Traversing through the world is fun and feels nice, and as you level up, your ability to climb on things increases, making it faster to a point where you may find it visually weird. Now, fighting on the other side is where I personally have most of my complaints. The melee combat feels great and the weapons are as refined as expected from a company with such history on the genre. They feel heavy, and when they hit, the sound is refreshing and enjoyable. Human combat is fast, it's filled with dodging and parrying, and it's by far the best part about this game. You have to be careful not to waste too much stamina, to dodge at the right time, grapple your opponents if you have no stamina left to gain some time, or throw things at them to disrupt them from attacking you. Before I go into zombie combat, we also have to talk about the two zones that exist in Dying Light. The daytime and the nighttime are on a normal cycle, with the day lasting a tad bit longer than the night, but between them is a huge differentiation when it comes to zombies. During the daytime, zombies are slow and act pretty stupid. They are the classic ones that just walk around doing basically nothing and present little threat individually. However, when they are found in huge teams, they are dangerous and you should be careful on how you approach them, or just throw them a Molotov. Anyway, there are also virals. There are three types of virals. The spitters, which are ranged zombies that send out toxic goo to kill you, which deals an annoying amount of damage. The speeders, which are classic zombies but can climb, dodge and attack far more quickly. And the bloaters that blow up, insta-killing you if you are too close. During the daytime, the main complaint I have, well, it's that it's a zombie game. I get tired of having simple zombies annoy me when I fight actually tough opponents, and it feels tedious when I just have to do it over and over again, as the game loves to spam them everywhere. From a point on, I just didn't care at all about what was going on around me, and I just started going from here to there like every single one of the repetitive, boring and annoying quests requested me to do. During the night time, the zombies get more aggressive, and also the specially infected make an appearance. Those are especially hard to fight, and actually you shouldn't be fighting them because it's most likely you'll die. During the night everything is a threat and the horror and tension rise to the top. It's truly enjoyable to go out, run from one point to the next, getting chased and be rewarded for it, and it's by far the best moments I've ever had with this game. Moving on to more about the game, let's talk about the open world and what it has to offer. The city is well designed and every area feels unique when it comes to the design of the level. It's vertical, it allows many pathways, and you will find those extremely useful during the night. Traps are scattered around for you to use during the night to slow down the infected, and there are plenty of safe houses to go and free from zombies to use, something like Ubisoft's towers. While you roam, you may find Raz's men taking prisoners, you can free them, you may find supply drops, you have to go first before they are stolen, and you can find survivors that are attacked by zombies and help them. All those, while a bit repetitive and simple, feel nice and are welcome distractions. The next big thing I'll be talking about is, well, the skill system. Oddly, when I saw the skill trees fairly large, I was surprised and skeptical. Usually games go for the boring percentages, and personally it would be just one thing more to dislike. However, I was pleasantly surprised by the game itself. The skill trees actually present you with some tough decisions to make between skills and how to level up. There are three individual skills that you have to level up: survival, agility and strength. The survival one is the most generic one, but it's still useful. You level it up by completing quests or taking part in events on the map like the ones mentioned above. What it gives you are various abilities and moves that prove to be useful most of the time. However, be careful because when you die you lose those hardly any survivor points during the day, but sometimes the game decides to take them away during the night as well, but that just might be a bug. Agility is a second skill tree. It's leveled up by parkouring and dodging. When you level it up, you're mainly given utility options on how to move, traverse, or get away from situations. Some of the stuff there may seem weird, as you'd expect them to be by default unlocked, but nevertheless it's useful to level it up. The strength, the last skill tree, is based around combat. It levels up when you fight opponents, and the options it presents you are mainly aggressive skills or abilities, and in general moves that make the combat easier. Some of the things here are a bit weird as well, however it's fine, as it doesn't take away any from the general experience. Now, last but not least is the crafting system. Crafting a Dying Light is something you would better do. You can scavenge supplies that you will later on need to craft items or weapons, the blueprints of which you find lying around in the world. The new weapons are fun, as they are added more attributes like electricity or fire that have their own ways of reacting with the infected. In the beginning of the game you may find yourself in the need of medkits, however as the game progresses you will most assuredly find more and more. There are also lockpicking system, but it's classic and nothing special to talk about really. You have to be careful and manage your weapon parts, however, as your repairs consume them quite quickly. Also, weapons have limited repairs, meaning that if you overuse a weapon, you will have to trash it sooner or later, so be careful as they tend to break easily.
Dying Light is very well optimized and it's bound to run on low-spec computers. You can get a really good performance out of very old computers. Draw distance, however, is horribly optimized and kills the frame rate if it's enabled, even in the tiniest. The HBAO is nice and gives a nice feel to the dull environment, as well as makes you focus less on the texture problems here and there, and since it's Nvidia's frameworks, it doesn't really kill performance if your card supports it, especially late 500 models or early 600s. The texture quality is poor with low-res textures all around the place. You may be able to get away with it by saying it's an open-world game, however on a 2015 title it's still pretty sad to see such texture work, even on the highest settings. The color palettes consist of what seems like brown based, enhancing the boring and plain location. The aesthetic is boring except for maybe sunsets and sunrises, which unless you tend to wait to see, you will most likely never really notice more than once. The music is pretty plain, no particularly interesting parts on it, however it does the job, especially during the nighttime when it's especially tense. The options menu has most features one would expect, and nothing out of the ordinary. The weird thing one might say is that there is no dedicated sound menu, but that would be nitpicking, as the sound options can easily be found under the game menu. The FOV slider is present, and unlike most games these days is also present both vertical and horizontal FOV, which is a nice addition to have. The bugs in this game are few and mostly consisting of zombie parts clipping behind the walls, which you can hit like normally would, or some AI issues here and there, but is generally polished and feels complete. What's more to add is that the game's supposed hard mode night cycle seems to be, instead of your worst enemy, your best friend, since you can exploit it beyond measure, giving you tons of XP with very little failure rate, as the only thing you have to do is jump up and down a few obstacles over and over again for massive amounts of points, without any real threats, as you can simply stick close to a safe house. And since the game doesn't penalize you for dying, you can just go around not giving a care about the world.
To sum up, Dying Light is a fun game for those who like the genre, but not much more other than that. It doesn't really have any personality, and all it really is a mashup of other fun titles. Is it necessarily bad? For me, yeah, but others may not find it that way. Feel free to check it out, get it on Steam for €50 or your original equivalent. Dying Light is
And since it's Nvidia's
parkouring works perfect. To be careful not to waste too much stamina at the stamina.
and since it's in and since it,
I'll throw a Molotov.
the bugs in this game are the bugs in this game fuck the bugs
Which deals annoyings. Which deal with like classing zombies, but
the bugs in this game are few and the bugs in this game are few and
you may find Rice's mains to maze.
the bugs in this game are few and most
Dying Light is a fun for the Dying Light is a fun for the
the bugs of the time are few and most of the time are hilarious.
Dying Light, it does dying fuck and Dying Light.